We want to talk about Hunter because he's learning and he's learning quick.
Sure.
And I know you got some guys that dropped like flies. Just the two young guys last week. What were some of your kind of grading the film? What would you walk away from seeing with those two guys?
I think there's still a bunch of adjustment just in terms of the speed of the game. I think for those guys, they are still finding their comfort level just in terms of being able to fit things the right way, being a little bit more detailed in alignments, just kind of refining a little bit of the smaller details. I think really stands out in my mind. I think both of these young men are extremely talented. I think they're going to have a tremendously bright future, but it's being able to get them to lock in on some smaller things still kind of stands out in my mind as much room for improvement, for sure.
When we were able to watch practice, I mean, quite frankly, it looked like Hunter struggled a little bit. I mean, he dominated boys in high school, and he's up here against men. Those first few practice. When did he kind of break through that initial okay, I'm ready to kind of be a valuable contributor for this group?
Sure. I think a lot of that, just in terms of the transition in my mind for Hunter, was being comfortable with the playbook. We're not reinventing plays by any stretch of the imagination, but it's really being able to kind of internalize a lot of the information that was being thrown at him. Obviously he is a big man that can run fast in space, and he has unbelievable hands. But just being able to play with some confidence and play with the same speed that he did in high school, and I think we're getting, slowly but surely, we're getting there pretty fast.
How did Drew's injury kind of change things last week? And he came out pretty early in that first quarter. Were you anticipating playing Hunter and Jacob that much?
Sure. Yes, Hunter, absolutely, and we definitely had a couple packages for Jake Kaiser, but it was kind of the next man up kind of deal, to where Jake stood up and did some really good stuff, for sure.
Awesome. I mean, you have a couple different guys, or I guess in terms of just body type and I guess skill set, guys like Jacob Kaiser and Hunter Bryant. Are those how much do you want to, I guess, not necessarily compartmentalize them,
sure,
but kind of, I guess, breed for their differences, or or do you want to balance them? And then I guess what's the line?
Sure. I think we're always going to utilize their strengths, and really highlight those. But I think something that's truly unique about these three tight ends that we played tremendously last week were they can do it all. Jake had a good catch. Hunter's been doing some really good stuff in the run game, and Will showed up, being extremely productive in the pass game. So I think all three of those guys obviously have their strengths, and we're definitely going to make sure that we utilize those as much as humanly possible. But at the end of the day, all those guys stick out in my mind as truly unique talents because they can do everything. And then for Hunter and Jake, it's really just kind of being a little bit more comfortable in the playbook and the details. Kind of, when the pitcher changes, being ready to adjust and adapt.
How is Hunter's blocking?
It is a work in progress, but it's getting a lot better, for sure.
Well, he didn't have to do a whole lot of it, did he, in high school?
He did a little bit of it, for sure.
But not enough to your liking, yeah.
Well, it's a little bit different. I think anytime, and I think we had a bunch of conversations about Darrell, just anytime you transition a guy playing receiver predominantly in high school and then you put him inside the box, I think it's a different world. Things move faster, people are a little bit bigger, and just getting your eyes right and trusting your first instinct, I think, is really, really important, and he's improved tremendously.
Off the top of your head, do you know how many snaps he played first game?
So Rutgers was about 10. Last week was probably about 20 to 30, and probably see the same kind of workload this week.
Okay. And you want to see that maintain, or do you?
Obviously, it kind of depends on how the game's going.
Right.
Depends on how the game's going, but for all three of those guys, if it were up to me, we'd try and be in 13 personnel every single play.
I bet you would.